get so caught up in the right and the wrong of a scenario that we don't even know when he's protecting us from a situation, and we just kind of keep pushing in on the situation and trying to make it give in our own favor because we see the outcome that we want and we're trying to give that outcome to ourselves. One month I went out and I purchased a lipstick and a lip liner. At the time I was like, I really like this color. I think this is like one of those basic colors that I can wear over and over and over again, and I won't feel bad because it's like, I'm not really shifting my look a lot. This is my go-to. So I purchased a lipstick and I purchased this lip liner. When I got back to the house where I would be actually filming, and I went to go put this lipstick and this lip liner on, I was like, I don't think this is the color that I picked up when I was in the store. Like it's not looking the same, like something's wrong and I don't like it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the store, I'm gonna return it, and I'm gonna try and find something else that I like. Now, I purchased the merchandise at a Macy's and at a MAC counter inside of a Macy's. But when I was back at the store, like in the area where I actually live, that particular Macy's doesn't have a MAC counter. So in order to return it, I couldn't exchange it and and get the new product. I had to just return it. And so when I went to return it, the woman was like, she's like, do you want this put back on your card? And I didn't. I wanted the cash back because my intention was to just go to, there's another store in that mall that actually has a MAC counter. So my intention was to just go from that store to the MAC counter in the other store, and I was going to purchase, have like the woman in that shop help me, purchase a lipstick and a lip liner that would be in a color that I felt was, appropriate for what I was looking for. So when she said this to me, I was like, no, I'd actually like to get my cash back. And I explained the situation to her. I, was just gonna go to the store that was inside the mall that did have a MAC counter. And she looks at me and she says, well, it's not giving me that option. There's nothing that I can do. You can either put it on your card or I can give you a gift card. So I asked her if I could speak to, like a supervisor who might be able to override that. And she says to me, well, there's nothing that we can do. We're not allowed to give cash refunds when you paid with a card. And I said, but I paid with a debit. Even though it was on my card, I paid with a debit. And I was under the impression that if I paid with debit, I would be able to get my cash back because you guys already have the cash for it. And she said, no, they've changed some rules and we're not allowed to do that anymore. Now, when she started saying this, I'm like, what are you talking about? They changed the rules. Like, I literally just did this process less than a month ago, with some other product that I had purchased inside Macy's. Like, when you shop, there's certain things that you do and what the rules are for different stores. So when she said this, I started to feel like, okay, right now you just don't even want to be bothered to help me, and you don't want a return on your transaction list or whatever. So you're just telling me anything to get me to just take a gift certificate or to get me to just put the cash back on my card. And so I felt like, okay, you can't do that. That's just wrong, So I asked her, I'm like, well, when did these changes happen? Because I've done this before and I don't understand. Like, you're telling me now all of a sudden they changed the rules. And then she's like, oh yeah, they changed the rules back in, July. And I'm like, okay, I just did this less than a month ago, and that was way after July. So now I'm really feeling like you're just telling me anything, and I'm stuck there. I'm stuck on that point. Okay, I should be able to, or I should be allowed to come into this store with merchandise that I paid debit and you have the cash for from this store and return it and get my cash back. I've not used the product, and I'm supposed to be allowed to do this. So now my focus is there. And my focus is on the irritation that this person in front of me would just be telling me anything to get what they wanted out of the situation. So that was more so what was bothering me. So I asked her if I could speak to her supervisor, someone that could override her. And she's like, oh, well, you can give me your phone number and I have have my supervisor, contact you, and then you guys can discuss it or whatever the case may be. So I'm inside the store, and the lady behind the mat counter, she's like helping me, and I'm explaining to her that I had purchased this lipstick and this lip liner, and I didn't like the color once I had gotten home. Like, for some reason, it wasn't coming out the same that it had come out when I had tried it on in the store. So the lady's like, I said, is there anything that's like a little bit, I was telling her that the lip liner was coming out too dark. So I was saying, is there a lip liner that is like one shade lighter than this? And she was like, no, this is one of 3 that we have, and the other one is like extra light, like it won't even show up on you. So I was saying to myself, well, what's the one that you have on your lips? Because she had a lip liner on, and it was clearly coming out lighter than what I had on mine whenever I was using my lip liner. And she's like, oh yeah, that's chestnut. And I was like, no, that's the lip liner I have. These are 2 different colors. So she was explaining to me that I was applying it incorrectly, which I was like, yeah, that's possible, because as I told you, I don't really wear makeup. So she goes, oh, well, just, she's like, I can show you how to apply it. So she's like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, give me a minute, because I wanted to take care of the situation, with the Macy's, and then I would come to her and let her, show me how to apply the lip liner and like help me pick out a different lipstick. So on my way back out of Belk to go back into the Macy's to see why the woman had not called me in that time, because it wasn't supposed to be like that long of a wait, I decided to call Macy's. So I called Macy's and asked them, had their policy changed? And I said, like, if I purchase something with a debit card and I need to return it, can I return it and get my cash back, or do I have to return it and the only way they can return it is if they put the money back on the card? So the lady said no. She said, if you purchase something from us with a debit and it's been at least 10 days, we are allowed to give you back your cash. So now I'm like, okay, so I was right. You were just telling me anything. Like, you really just didn't want to do my return. So I'm marching back into Macy's, ready to just basically tell this woman, like, I'm not listening to anything you have to say, like, just please, give me my cash back and everything. So I go into the Macy's, and the other supervisor was like, I guess, coming down. She hadn't called me back, mind you, but she was coming down. And she's like, oh, there goes the manager right there. Like, do you have the merchandise? And I was like, yeah, it's right here. I gave it to her. She processed the return, gave me back my cash, no problem. So I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, so if it was gonna be that simple, why so much delay? Why so much, confusion? Why so much stress around it? Why didn't I just do that in the first place, right? And I end up going back into Belk, to the mat counter, and this woman is helping me. So she shows me how to put the lip liner on the right way, and then she shows me how the reason why the lipstick was coming out a different color was because it was mixing in with the lip liner, which I was applying too strongly. So it was changing the color of the lipstick. And if you just put the lipstick on its own, it was actually a color that I actually did like. It was a color that was pleasing to me. So I ended up repurchasing the same color lip liner and the same color lipstick that I had just returned in the Macy's, right? And because I'm in a completely different state, the taxes in that state are actually more. So I actually ended up paying 71 cents more than I paid for the original merchandise that I'm just like repurchasing at a different store. And as I was walking out of Belk with my same color lipstick and my same color lip liner, it just all of a sudden hit me in a flash, like, the Most High was providing an obstacle so that I would not pay 71 cents more to get the same thing that I already had, because he already knew that I had what I wanted, but that I just didn't know I had what I wanted because I was applying it incorrectly. And it got me to thinking that we do this a lot. Like, we get so caught up in the right and the wrong of a situation. Like, I was so caught up in the fact that this woman would say to me that she couldn't do something that I knew she clearly could do, that I got so caught up in that I missed completely the fact that the Most High was saying to me, like, it's okay, daughter, you have what you want already. Let me work it out for you. Like, I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing on that situation until it turned out the way that was pleasing to me. We have to learn to just not see every obstacle as a barrier between the thing that we want or the thing that we should have. Sometimes there are obstacles that are placed in our way because those are things that we don't need, and those are things that are not helpful to us, are not beneficial to us. We have to really sink our teeth into the truth of all things are working for the good of those who love the Messiah. We have to understand that, so that when there are certain obstacles that are placed in our way, we recognize that, you know what, this too is beneficial to me. I don't know how, I don't see it yet, but this obstacle is beneficial to me. If there's something that I want to purchase, someplace that I want to go, or something that I want to do, but the way is not being made for that thing to happen, it's probably because it's not something that is beneficial to you to happen. But if you keep pushing in on a situation, pushing in on, the circumstance to make it what is pleasing to you, it's not to say that you won't be able to change the development of something. It's not to say that you won't be able to push in on something until it works out the way that you would be pleased with. Just because you are pleased with it doesn't mean that it worked out in your favor. So sometimes we just need to kind of fall back and respect that if a way is not being made, it's because that is not beneficial to you. Thank you for watching another episode of SOS, Saturday of Spirituality. I really enjoyed sharing examples from my life with you guys, and I know that maybe these stories might have sounded like nonsense or superficial or even corny to you. But the truth of the matter is that these are the very situations and circumstances that really helped me develop a deeper understanding of divine provision. And these are the experiences that really helped me to hone in on the issues that were holding me back from being able to access the divine provision that was being supplied for me in my life. So hopefully in sharing them with you, there's some sort of insight that's offered that will help you develop a better understanding of divine provision and the issues that might be holding you back from accessing them. Until next week, I'm Neshama of IamNeshama.com, reminding you that accessing your divine provision is as simple as stepping out on faith.